Welcome back to Never Enough Novels for another round of the best new books coming out this month. Each month, I find a variety of books from different genres that are going to be published this month so that you can find which ones you want to add to your TBR or pre-order now. Again, I split this list up by genre so you can easily get to the ones that you'd be most interested in. Down in the description below, you'll find the links to all of these books on Amazon, so if you do find any you want to pre-order, you can help my channel by pre-ordering through these links. And make sure you hit like on this video and scroll down and subscribe to my channel so you get the best new book recommendations each month. November is usually a little bit slower in the world of publishing. There's always a flurry of activity in September and October, but I did still find 7 books that I want to share with you today. Let's kick things off with romance, which has 4 out of the 7 books that I'm excited to talk about. First up is She Really Going Out With Him by Sophie Cousins. My first romance is about a divorcee who gets a second chance at love, all thanks to her meddling children. Anna is happily enjoying her life as a single mom after a rather painful divorce, but inspiration strikes when a rival starts to eye up her column. In an attempt to create more intriguing content for her column, Anna comes up with the idea to go on 7 dates that are generated by her children, and they are not allowed to use any dating apps. As you can imagine, there are a wide range of encounters thanks to the men that the children recommend, from the awkward encounters to starstruck ones. But a connection that comes out of nowhere may lead Anna to an actual meaningful relationship. I'm a sucker for these sort of dating experiments, so I can't wait to see where this one leads for her. Plus, the addition of her kids makes this have kind of a unique spin that I'm really excited about. Next up is A Queen's Game by Katherine McGee. After the immensely successful American Royal series, Katherine is back and looking at a new set of royals. A Queen's Game goes back in time and focuses on 3 women during the Victorian era. Ali is Queen Victoria's granddaughter, and she has always been expected to marry a prince, but she's starting to fall in love with one who is technically off limits. Helene is the daughter of the exiled King of France, and her rebellious nature leads her into start running around with the heir to the British throne. And the last of these women, May of Teck, is full of ambition, and her entire life she has always sought to marry a prince, but now she has her eyes set on not just a prince but a king. These 3 women's lives intersect over the years as this sweeping historical romance novel takes us from the ballrooms of St. Petersburg to rural Scotland. I don't know anything about these historical figures as of now, so I am excited to see how Katherine puts her spin on these historical women. My third romance is The Co-op by Tara DeWitt. This is a second chance romance featuring 2 teens who had a summer fling, which are now grown up and suddenly thrown into each other's orbit again. Lauren and Deacon are both frankly shocked to discover that their individual grandmothers left them with joint ownership of a building that is in need of a ton of tough love. Deacon has the construction experience to fix up the place, but he needs money for supplies. Lauren could help on that front because of the trust that's left to her, but the stipulation to get access to the money is that she must be married. So easy peasy. Solution is that they'll get married, fix up the building, and then sell it for a profit and go their separate ways. Of course, living under the same leaky roof leads to all sorts of fights and flirting. Everyone who owns a home knows that these sort of scenarios always have the chance to go wrong, but I love that they're living under the same roof, so things can also go very right. And the last romance for November is A Legend in the Baking by Jamie Wesley. This is a sports romance plus a baking romance, so sign me up. Football player August was supposed to be a silent partner in the town's cupcake shop, but when a video actually goes viral where he goes on this rant about how baking is not a threat to masculinity, suddenly he is the talk of the town. With a new location in the works, his fellow partners decide to capitalize on his newfound fame, and they hire a social media manager to help make the best of the situation. It is none other than August's best friend's sister, who has haunted his dreams for years. Sloane also has her own hang-ups about taking the job, since she has crushed on August since she was a teenager, but ultimately she decides this will be a good move to help build her brand. I cannot wait to read about the delicious sparks that I know are going to fly between these two. Plus, the juxtaposition of a football player who is also a baker sounds like such a fun storyline. Let's move into my 2 fantasy recommendations I have as new books that are coming out in November. First up is The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent, and this is the third book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. So now would be a great chance to binge read the first two if you haven't yet. I keep hearing this fantasy series is just as good as anything by Sarah J. Maas or Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, so if you loved those, then you're going to want to give this a try too. I'm about halfway through the first book, which is A Serpent and the Wings of Night, and I am addicted. I don't want to spoil anything about the rest of the series, so I actually didn't even look at the synopsis of the second or third books, but the first book, and kind of continuing on with the series, follows a human who was brought to live in a world of vampires. She decides to compete in this traditional vampire challenge in order to get a favor as the winner. I have been flying through this so far, and I know I'm going to continue on with the series after it's done, so I am very excited to have the first books out of the way, so I will be ready to go when the third book comes out. My second fantasy book recommendation is pretty much completely different than the high-stakes romantasy first one, and this one's much more of a cozy fantasy, kind of similar to The Spell Shop or Legends and Lattes. And this book is The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Long. I can't get enough of these type of heartwarming fantasy books lately, so I am so excited to try this one out. Teo is a wandering fortune teller who makes a living revealing small, mostly inconsequential fortunes. It's a bit lonely, but it's far better than the life that she left behind. Until a chance meeting with a reformed thief and an ex-mercenary changes everything for her. She agrees to help them on a quest for a lost child and finds so much more than she expected. I adore these low-key fantasy books that focus so much on found family, and they're just overall so heartwarming and cozy and kind of just the right type of book for this time of year. They're also very easy to get into because you don't have any of the complicated world building or lengthy introductions that you'll find in more of these romantasy series. So they're perfect reads as just kind of quick one-off heartwarming novels. And the last book I have to share today is getting into the thriller side of things, and that one is called Shell Games by Bonnie Kistler. This thriller features a young woman whose mother makes a shocking claim on the night of her wedding. Kate is a 70-year-old woman who has a lot of influence in her community, and she is thrilled to be marrying Charlie, who was her old high school sweetheart. But on their wedding night, Kate makes a frantic call to the police, claiming that Charlie confessed to a decades-long unsolved crime. Julia believes her mom, but no one else seems to. Charlie claims that she's making it up. Julia's husband says that, well, Kate's kind of been dealing with dementia, so we can't always rely on her stories. And the FBI seem to think that there's no way that Charlie could have committed the crime. So now Julia is left trying to uncover what's the truth. And as she slowly understands more about the situation, she realizes that the people in her life may not be who she thinks they are. I always love the idea of a slightly unreliable narrator, so we don't really know whether Kate was telling the truth or not, or what really happened that night. So I think this sounds like a really intriguing thriller. I hope you found some new books that you're excited to read this month. And if you missed last month's new releases, you can head here to check out my best recommendations for the October new books.